Welcome one and all to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we taped this show earlier in the day, and I just want to let you know, shortly before I came out here tonight, we learned of the unspeakable shooting in Uvalde, Texas today. And while we can add our prayers for the dead, there is nothing that can ever be said that can approach the immeasurable grief of those families. But while we're at it, let's pray this time our leaders show a modicum of courage in trying to prevent this from ever happening again. But prayers won't end this. Voting might. So when you vote, ask yourself this question: who, running for office, has publicly stated that they're willing to do anything and everything in their power to protect your children from the criminally insane number of guns in America? And I will tell you, I'll tell you who did something about it: the New Zealanders. And my guest tonight is the New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, and I will ask her how they achieved that and what those results have been. And the thing is, this year, your vote is not a theory, because we're just a few months away from the midterm elections, and tonight there are primaries in 5 states, but the race everyone's watching is the Georgia GOP gubernatorial primary between sitting governor and smile school dropout Brian Kemp and former Senator and Emperor Palpatine David Perdue. Now, why should we even care about these two dinguses, or dingai? Well, here's the thing. This race is actually all about the guy who's not on the ballot, because Perdue has been endorsed by former President Otto von Skidmark. The reason he's backing Perdue is because he's still mad that Governor Kemp wouldn't steal Georgia's votes for him in 2020. But Kemp's got an ace up his sleeve: the endorsement of former Vice President Mike Pence, seen here wondering what the blue liquid in the women's napkin commercials could possibly be. They just... Why do the women spill their Powerade so much? This is why they can't be in sports. That's right, the former Prez versus the former Veep. It's the Thrilla in vanilla, the Tang versus the Mayo. It's a knockdown brawl for Georgia that analysts are calling a proxy war. And in this battle, there are very fine people on neither side. There hasn't been the Thrilla. There hasn't been a showdown like this between a president and a Veep since Walter Mondale came after Jimmy Carter with his diss track, "Why Don't You Farm D's Nuts?" Now, Pence has joined Kemp on the campaign trail, saying, "I was for Brian Kemp before it was cool. So, now?" Because it's still not cool, but still, this is a huge deal. Pence is opposing his old boss. And some see this split as the seeds of a 2024 Pence presidential run, as the increasingly emboldened Pence seeks to reintroduce himself to Republican voters. Yeah, he's trying to change the MAGA message to hang with Mike Pence. It looks like, slight change. It looks like Pence might win tonight, because going into the vote, his guy, Kemp, was up by more than 30 points, which means the ex-president's guy, Perdue, is staring down an epic defeat. And that defeat, yeah, you know that defeat is going to hurt the ex-prez. It's also going to hurt when he finds out this Perdue isn't the one that makes chicken fingers. That's not the only news out there about the former POTUS. We just learned about another one of his crazy obsessions, thanks to former presidential attorney and clinically depressed basset hound, Michael Cohen. In a recent deposition, Cohen revealed that while on the campaign trail, one of his boss's greatest anxieties was getting pied in the face. I assume like a banana cream pie, because he clearly was already using a pumpkin meat bronzer. Cohen claims in his deposition, it's in a deposition. In his deposition, Cohen claims the former president developed the fear after becoming obsessed over the way Bill Gates once got attacked with a pie to the face. Man, Epstein plane was crazy. After he saw that, according to Cohen, the former president's fear was constant. It wasn't just one time. It was an ongoing and regular thing. As he would go out to various different open venues, he would never turn around and say, if anyone throws a rock or a bottle, it was always a pie. He always brought up that pie thing. Evidently, all of the man's fears are from cartoons. Explains why his rallies also banned huge mallets, pianos falling from the sky, and giant anvils that say Acme on the side. The former president was so afraid of being pied, he reportedly instructed his security to severely beat up anyone who tried to get him. Of course, he would have fought off any pastry attackers himself if it weren't for his scone spurs. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. On the international front, there's a hot new virus sweeping the globe, and I'll tell you all about it in our unfortunately recurring segment.
Rise of the planet of the Monkeypox!
You Monkeypox! You blew it up! Damn you! Damn you all to hell!
Right now, sure. Right now, monkeypox is racing through Europe, hopefully on a little unicycle. Here in America, the case count remains pretty low, but there are currently over 200 people being monitored for monkeypox in Massachusetts. They're exhibiting signs of shrieking, reddened faces, and violent behavior, so they could just be Red Sox fans. It's tough. 200? Did I read that right? 200? It's tough for doctors to be sure if they're looking at the genuine monkey article because the illness could be clinically confused with a sexually transmitted infection like syphilis or herpes. So if you're experiencing any symptoms, please go to your doctor, get tested, and hopefully get the diagnosis every patient wants to hear. Good news, you have syphilis. According to doctors, you can stay safe as long as you avoid close contact with sick people, including those with skin lesions or genital lesions, as well as contact with dead or live wild animals. Great. There goes my new business, dead or live animal petting zoo. Have genital lesions? Get in free. Health officials are so concerned that the U.S. is in the process of releasing a monkeypox vaccine from our national stockpile. I'm sorry, are you trying to tell me we have a national stockpile of just rando vaccines lying around? That would have been handy at the height of Bieber fever. I still have the yummy yums. Thankfully, the American public knows what to do in case of a viral outbreak. Make up a bunch of crazy new conspiracies, and there is a doozy courtesy of Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, seen here halfway through transforming into a howler monkey. Greene interviewed herself on Facebook and spread this.
Bill Gates is very concerned about monkeypox because this is something apparently he can make a lot of money off of, and him and his other buddies.
Oh, that's right. After years of wasting his time making billions on computer software, he's getting into the real dough. Just look at his new finance director. I'm telling you, it's like what Deep Throat always said about Watergate. Follow the monkey. And it's not just Americans. One prominent Chinese social media influencer has spread rumors that there's a secret plan by the U.S. to leak bioengineered monkeypox virus. That is insane. Do you really think the U.S. is currently capable of having plans? We can't even plan having enough baby formula. Wait a minute. What if we milk the monkeys? Monkey formula. Oh, There's also news about SpaceX founder and Phantom of the Opera who found the other half of his mask, Elon Musk. It recently came to light that Musk was accused of sexual misconduct in 2016 by a flight attendant on one of his private jets. The woman alleged she was giving him a massage when he showed her his erect penis, asked her to perform a sex act, and offered to buy her a horse. To which she replied, nay. Also, you. Now, here's the Musk has denied the allegations, tweeting, "Astute observers of my plane, and there are many, will note that I don't use a flight attendant. Moreover, only fruits and nuts are stocked on the plane." That's the problem, Elon. Put away your nuts. So, Musk is clear this whole thing never happened, which is probably why he paid the flight attendant a $250,000 settlement. Sounds suspicious, but he did clearly write on the check memo line, not hush money, P.S., let me know about that horse. We got a great show for you tonight. My guest is Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, but when we come back,